Have you ever found yourself thinking, is this it? Has intimacy become a distant memory now that I'm over 60? Maybe you've noticed your body doesn't respond the way it used to, or conversations with your partner have settled into comfortable routines that leave little room for sparks. If that sounds familiar, I want you to know something. Intimacy isn't just for the young. In fact, this chapter of life can be one of the most fulfilling, if you know how to embrace it. Today we're talking about 5 secrets to a vibrant, joyful, intimate life after 60. And trust me, these aren't just theories, they're tools you can start using today. Let's begin with the first secret, one that might feel a little uncomfortable at first but has the power to transform everything. Open communication. Now, I know, talking about intimacy can feel awkward, especially with someone you've shared decades of life with. You might think, they already know me inside and out. What's left to say? But here's the truth. Assumptions are intimacy's quiet enemy. Let me tell you about my friends Carol and Tom. Married 45 years, they'd fallen into a pattern where their physical connection felt predictable. One night, over tea, Carol nervously brought up how she missed the playful moments they'd had years ago. Tom admitted he'd been hesitant to suggest new ideas, fearing she'd think he was silly. That one conversation led to laughter, experimentation, and a renewed sense of closeness. The lesson? Your partner isn't a mind reader. Start small. Try something like, I've been thinking about how we could feel even closer. What do you think? It's not about critique, it's about curiosity. And remember, listening is just as powerful as sharing. Now, let's tackle something many of us wrestle with silently, our changing bodies. Maybe joints ache, energy levels shift, or menopause has rewritten the rules. It's easy to feel like your body has betrayed you. But here's the secret. Intimacy isn't about performance, it's about presence. Take my neighbor Helen. After a knee replacement, she assumed her romantic life was over. But with patience, she and her partner discovered new rhythms, gentle massages, lingering baths, even using pillows for support. They learned that slowing down didn't mean losing passion, it meant savoring it. And let's not shy away from practical help. A good lubricant or a doctor's advice can work wonders. Your body is still a source of joy, it just asks for a little more creativity and kindness. Embrace where you are now, not where you were decades ago. These first 2 secrets, talking openly and embracing your body, are like tending a garden. They might not bloom overnight, but with care, they'll grow into something beautiful. And as we move forward, we'll explore how emotional bonds and playful exploration can deepen your connection even further. But for now, I'll leave you with this. The most vibrant, intimate lives aren't about recapturing youth. They're about writing a new story, one where laughter, patience, and honesty light the way. So, what's one small step you could take this week to nurture connection? Maybe it's a conversation, a touch, or simply giving yourself permission to enjoy without pressure. However you begin, remember, this isn't an ending. It's a fresh start. You know, one of the most beautiful things about this stage of life is how depth starts to matter more than speed. We've talked about opening up conversations and embracing our bodies. Now, let's explore how to weave those ideas into something even richer. Let's start with the third secret, nurturing emotional intimacy. Think of emotional closeness as the soil where physical connection grows. My cousin Linda and her husband Ray went through a rough patch a few years back. They loved each other, but life stresses, retirement, caregiving for Ray's mom, had turned them into roommates rather than partners. Then Linda had a simple idea. Let's spend 10 minutes every morning just talking. No to-do lists, no problem solving. At first it felt awkward, but slowly those moments became sacred. They rediscovered each other's fears, hopes, even silly childhood stories they'd never shared. And guess what? That emotional safety reignited their physical connection. The takeaway? Intimacy starts long before the bedroom. Try asking your partner, what's something you've been carrying lately that I might not see? Listen without fixing. Hold space. That's where true closeness begins. Now, let's talk about something that might surprise you, playfulness. Yes, playfulness. I can almost hear some of you thinking, at my age? Isn't that for grandkids? But here's the truth. Laughter and lightheartedness are ageless. Take my friends Marta and Ben. They'd fallen into a rut, sticking to the same routines for years. Then one rainy afternoon, Marta dug out an old salsa CD from their dating days. Ben groaned, "My knees aren't what they used to be." But they swayed in the living room anyway, badly, hilariously, and ended up laughing so hard they cried. That moment became a turning point. Playfulness isn't about grand gestures. It's about letting go of perfection. Try a board game, a silly pillow fight, or even a remember when night, sharing your most embarrassing moments. When you invite joy into your relationship, you create space for spontaneity, and that's where sparks live. Here's something I've learned from couples who've thrived for decades. Rituals matter. Not routines, rituals. Routines are automatic. Rituals are intentional. Maybe it's a nightly foot rub while watching the news, or a monthly date night where you try a new recipe together. My neighbors, Evelyn and Frank, have a ritual they call the Gratitude Minute. Every evening, they each share one thing they appreciated about the other that day. Sometimes it's as simple as, "Thanks for making the coffee this morning," or, "I loved how you made me laugh at lunch." Over time, those minutes have built a reservoir of goodwill that carries them through tougher days. You don't need grand plans, just tiny, consistent acts of attention. Try this. For 1 week, leave a sticky note for your partner each morning with one thing you adore about them. Watch how it shifts the atmosphere between you. Emotional intimacy, playfulness, intentional rituals, these aren't just tips. They're invitations to see your relationship through fresh eyes. And here's the best part, you already have everything you need. You've built a history together, weathered storms, shared countless memories. Now's the time to mine that history for gold. What made you laugh uncontrollably in your 30s? What dream did you shelve that you could revisit now? Maybe it's taking a painting class, volunteering together, or finally planning that cross-country road trip. Shared adventures, big or small, keep curiosity alive. And curiosity? That's the secret sauce of lasting connection. So, where do you start? Pick one thing, just one, that feels doable this week. Maybe it's stealing 5 minutes of quiet conversation before bed, or dusting off that old photo album to reminisce. Remember, this isn't about adding pressure. It's about creating moments that remind you both, we're still here, still growing, still choosing each other. And every time you do that, you're writing a love story that only gets richer with time. You know, one thing I've learned from talking to so many people about this topic is that fulfillment isn't about ticking boxes or chasing some elusive, perfect intimacy. It's about showing up for yourself, for your partner, and for the messy, beautiful journey of growing older together. We've walked through 5 powerful secrets these past few days, and if there's one thing I hope you take away, it's this. Intimacy after 60 isn't a destination, it's an adventure. Let's tie it all together with one final thought, and then I'll share a story that still gives me goosebumps. Imagine your relationship as a garden. You've planted the seeds, open conversations, kindness to your body, emotional depth, playfulness, those little rituals that say, "I see you." Now, how do you keep it thriving? The secret isn't in the doing, it's in the being. Being present, being curious, being unafraid to evolve. Let me tell you about Ruth and Henry. Married 52 years, they hit a wall after Henry's heart surgery. Fear and fragility made them both pull back. But one evening, Ruth said, "What if we stopped trying to be who we were and just be who we are now?" That shift changed everything. They traded grand gestures for quiet mornings holding hands on the porch. They discovered intimacy in shared silence, in helping each other stretch sore muscles, in laughing at their own forgetfulness. Their love didn't shrink, it deepened. That's the power of embracing where you are. So, let's revisit those 5 secrets through Ruth and Henry's lens. Talk openly even when it's uncomfortable. Cherish your body, it's still your greatest ally. Nurture emotional closeness, it's the glue. Invite playfulness, it's the spark. Create rituals, they're the rhythm of your love story. But here's the thing, none of this works if it feels like homework. This isn't about adding tasks to your day. It's about subtracting the pressure, the comparisons, the should. Start with what feels joyful. Maybe that's leaving a love note in your partner's crossword puzzle, or dancing to your song, even if it's just swaying in socks. Or maybe it's simply saying, I'm here. Let's figure this out together. If you take nothing else from this series, remember, you are not alone in navigating this chapter. So many of us are redefining what connection means later in life. And that's why I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What's one small moment of intimacy that surprised you recently? A shared laugh? A gesture that meant more than you expected? Your stories inspire all of us. And if this resonated with you, pay it forward. Hit that like button, share this with a friend who might need a nudge, and subscribe if you haven't already. We're building a community here, one that celebrates love in all its forms at every age. Before I go, I'll leave you with this. Aging isn't the enemy of passion. It's the doorway to a kind of intimacy that's richer, wiser, and far more resilient than anything you've known before. So here's to slow dances, to whispered secrets, to love that grows more tender and fierce with every passing year. However your story unfolds, make it yours. Thank you for being here. Now go out there and live your most vibrant, connected life. After all, why wouldn't it include joy? Subscribe for more stories on thriving after 60.